And we are live. Good evening. It is another Thursday evening. I hope you all are having a great week so far. So many things happening around the world. And today is one of those days, a sad day for families around the world, in America mostly. And yeah, it is a tough day. So let us just remember all the families who are mourning their loved ones who lost their life in that horrific or horrible air collision today, well, last night. Uh, Life is life in, guys. But welcome to another Thursday evening of track and field chatting. Yes, we will be chatting about a lot tonight for an hour or so. And I just want to welcome each and everyone, whichever continent you're coming from, whether you're coming from Europe, Africa, Asia, Antarctica, North America, South America. Is there any continent I'm leaving out? Did I say Africa? Welcome wherever you are coming from around the world. Welcome. I am your girl HB, and yes, I'm here. It's another Thursday already. We were just here last week, and we're back here again this week. And this week, we're going to be hearing a little bit about a great man. Yes, a great man, the father of Jamaica track and field. Yes, he was the father, a pioneer, a visionary. Any word that you want to describe this person, he was a great man and he contributed a lot to our track and field, not just as an athlete, but as a coach, as an administrator, as a mentor, everything you can talk about, think about. And tonight we will be talking about none other than Mr. Gerald Claude Eugene Foster. I hope I got the name right, aka GC Foster. So, guys, don't go anywhere. Stay right there. I will be right back with my guest. Okay, just stay right there and we will be right back.
Jamaica's track and field legacy is unmatched. It is a story of triumph, resilience, and extraordinary talent. But do you know the stories behind the athletes who brought us glory? Hi, I'm HP, founder of HP Chat Track. My mission is simple, to celebrate the rich legacy of Jamaica track and field and shine a light on the incredible people who make it happen. Winning that race was a dream come true, but the journey wasn't easy. It's not just about medals, it's about inspiring the next generation. Jamaica track and field isn't just a sport, it's our pride, our culture, our heart. Every week I sit down with athletes, coaches and fans to bring you stories of dedication, passion and legacy. Plus, we've got exciting news and exclusive insights into the world of track and field. Make your Thursday night be at HP's place. Come hang out with us at HP Chat Track Studio, where track and field is our business. Jamaica. One people, one legacy.
Get up on, no, don't stop. Future bright, the vibes nice.
And we are back. We are back. Ladies, good evening. Tonight I am here with two of Mr. G.C. Foster's granddaughters, and they are to my left or to the left. We have Debbie, and of course, we have Heather, my namesake. Ladies, welcome to HP Chat Track. How are you?
Hi, Heather. We're good. Good, thanks.
Awesome.
We're well. We're hoping that we can inform somewhat of our grandfather.
I'm sure you guys will because we've heard, I grew up hearing about this great man, and a lot of us as Jamaicans grew up hearing about G.C. Foster, but there's so little that we know about this man, this great man who has contributed so much to our track and field legacy. So whatever you share with us tonight, ladies, it will be added. It will be some added information, and we're just going to have fun. We're going to have a discussion, and we're going to be having fun. Already, we have a 1972 Olympian who is already on the live. Evan Saunders, Jamaican Olympian 1972. She's saying,
Nice.
hello, HP and family. I am overexcited to hear.
Yikes.
Yep, she is overly excited to hear about Mr. G.C. Foster. And also, before we go any further, I want to say a special thank you to Mr. Herb McKinley's family, who is also watching, especially his daughter, Laura, and son, Herb, and also to the Wins family, Dr. Arthur Wins family, who they are also watching. So I just want to say thanks to those two family, two of Jamaica's biggest names in track and field in Jamaica, Herb McKinley and Arthur Wins. And of course, we're going to talk about them a little bit because your grandfather was also instrumental in coaching, especially Mr. Arthur Wins. Ladies, let us start with, before we get to grandfather's story, just tell me a little bit about you both, how you're connected to grandfather G.C. Foster. Just a little bit.
It has to be a little bit because he died when I was 10 and Debbie was only 7. Um, so I always thought he was a fun person. First of all, his mode of transportation was always a bicycle. Up to when he was like 77, I remember him riding from Halfway Tree Road to our house off Red Hills Road, and I mean, he just made it look like, that was his way of getting around. And he had funny stories. He pronounced words funnily. He always had, and he loved to talk about his travels. Um, so he was very entertaining. I found him very entertaining.
Yes, I
Wow.
always thought he was full of jokes, full of lyrics. Always was like rattling off phrases in Latin or Greek, but was the life of the party a lot of the times, was really loved by young people and was always surrounded by a lot of young people.
Awesome, awesome. Sounds like a great grandfather indeed, indeed. But before we go any further, can you recall which parish he was born? Is he originally from Kingston?
No.
No, he was from St. Catherine.
St. Catherine.
Mhm.
Okay, wow, interesting.
He
St.
moved to Kingston like when he was 4 or 5. The family moved. So they were from the Spanish Town area.
Wow. So, as it relates to him playing sport, is there any information that you can share about him as a little boy, whether it was written, whether your parents told you about him as a young man? How did he get into sports?
I don't know how it started, but I mean, he was quite an all rounder. I mean, I think he's most well known for track, obviously, track and field,
Mhm.
and cricket. But he was a tennis player as well,
He was a swimmer.
swimmer. In fact, stories are told that he would ride his bike to the harbor and swim across the harbor on a regular basis.
And that was fun.
That was just like, the thing to do.
He had a brother who he was very close to. And I think both of them
Were
were
very
were really into sports and into athletics.
Wow. He started his his high school, his secondary education, he attended the great Woolman's Boys Schools. Um, any information? Is there anything you can tell us about him going to Woolman's? Was
Not
he a
really,
track
but
star?
our father also went to Wolmer's and
Oh,
was so passionate about Wolmer's.
it seems to have been the school to go to in those days, It
yeah, one of the oldest high schools in Jamaica.
was, and well recognized and the place
Mhm.
to go.
Indeed, very good balance with academics and sports. You
Mhm.
know, not just with sports, but also with academics. But I have some information here where I read that, of course, his secondary education he pursued at Woolmer's Boys Schools, and then tertiary overseas. I read this just recently. What can you tell us about him studying overseas?
We are totally unaware of that. I don't think that is correct information. I
Hmm.
don't think his
No.
education went further than secondary school
And as far as we know, when he left school, he went to work in a government office.
as a clerk.
Wow. And I'm glad that we're having this talk tonight because I read this in an article where it says that after leaving Wolmer's Boys School, he journeyed overseas to the UK where he completed his studies at tertiary level in physical education and sport.
No,
No,
we've never
no,
heard that.
no. He might have. I'm not saying he didn't travel to the UK and he might have done a course or something, but it was not a degree thing, you know. He also did massages for athletes all the time, and in fact, I've met people when I went. I worked in Washington D.C. And I met people who he had coached. And one of the funny stories that they tell is that they would pretend to have injuries so that he would massage them because
Wow,
they just loved his massages. So, but I am quite confident he did not have a degree.
a
Um,
degree.
he might have had courses, but
And he was so brilliant. He was so good at what he did. It is amazing. It is amazing. But before we go any further, just to share some information with the audience, and this is all research. So, ladies, if I'm wrong, you can just let me know. Who was G.C. Foster? Born Gerald Claude,
Claude.
right, Gerald Claude Eugene Foster. He was one of Jamaica's most iconic sportsmen and a pioneer in track and field. He was a renowned athlete, coach, and administrator. Mr. Foster's legacy is deeply rooted in the development of sport in Jamaica. He was a multi talented individual whose contribution laid a foundation for modern athletics in Jamaica. And I agree with that. And this was written by Mr. Arnold Bertram.
well, he
And
was a big fan.
yes, Mr. Arnold Bertram wrote this, so I give him credit for that. And you just mentioned that your grandfather, he was a masseuse.
Yes,
Yes.
he was.
So he was an athlete, he was a coach, he was a mentor, he was an administrator, a
He
masseuse.
was also an umpire for the cricket team.
Wow. Tell me a little bit about that. How much do you know about that?
That's about it. That's how much I know. But he did
Yeah.
accompany them, wherever they played. I don't know. I'm not sure of the time frame, but
Mm-hmm.
he definitely was. In fact, at my parents' house, I remember that picture. There was a picture of him and the cricket team, I think in London or somewhere. I'm not sure, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, I did. I read something about cricket, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But he was very talented. And if you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. We're here tonight, looking at the legacy and learning a little bit more about Mr. G.C. Foster, a name that we've heard in track and field over and over, and we know little about. And of course, I just want to say thanks to both his granddaughters who are here tonight, Heather and Debbie, to just shed a little bit more light on what we know or to add some information. And I also want to thank Mr. Herb McKinley's family and Arthur Wynn's family for getting this information for us. And of course, Ivan Saunders, Vonnie M was also a part of this. And before we go any further, let me just read a comment. And this is from Darcy Scott Genius, formerly of Very Technical, and also an Olympian, Jamaican Olympian from the 80s. She said, hello, HP and the G.C. Foster family. She's saying hello to you guys. I can't wait to hear about this great Jamaican athlete on whose shoulders so many of us stand. Thank you, ladies, for enlightening us. And of course, She too is an Olympian herself, 1980s
So
Olympian.
it's so lovely to hear about all the Olympians that feel that he contributed to their success. It gives me goosebumps.
Indeed, indeed. He has done a lot. And as we go further and I share a little bit more information, you will understand what this man, what he has done for our legacy, the people, the pathway that he set for a lot of our athletes. Here we have another Olympian, 1980s Olympian, Ethlyn Tate, formerly of Beer Technical also. She's saying, good evening, everyone. I believe this interviewer story is going to be very exciting. And I told you, we want to know about Mr. G.C.FOSTER. Are you seeing that smile on his face? Look at him smiling right there.
Yes. He was always smiling.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Thank you guys for joining. And if you're on Facebook and you want me to see your comments, come on over to YouTube and just post your comment and we will talk about them. Ladies, your grandfather is a track and field pioneer. Um, can you recall or have you heard any stories of how it started, if it started at Wilma's Boys or it started while he was in primary school? I'm not sure if back then we had primary school, but any little stories?
I think the only story I know is that he and his brother Arthur were very competitive, so they were always racing each other. So I think that's how it all began,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to outdo each other in every sport. And you know how boys are competitive.
Sounds
So
like Jamaican. Sounds like real Jamaicans. That's what we do.
so
I don't know anything about before Wilmot's.
Before. Okay, okay,
right.
okay, okay. That's fine. But that's what we do in Jamaica. We compete against each other, our siblings, our friends,
Yes.
and we're always racing, running around, and of course, many of us are discovered. Let me just share some more information here. In 1908, G.C.FOSTER became the first Jamaican to qualify for the Olympic Games. He met the qualifying standard in the 100 yards. Unfortunately, though, he could not compete for Jamaica because Jamaica was not yet a member of the IOC, which is the International Olympic Committee. And despite that setback, Mr. Foster continues to excel in sprinting. He dominated the 100 yards in Jamaica for more than 7 years. More than 7 years. Successfully, he was unbeaten. Nobody could touch him. And of course, during that time, we had a championship called the Jamaica Open Championship. So if there's anybody watching or listening and can give us some information on this track meet that we used to have in Jamaica called Jamaica Open Championships, he dominated that event for over 7 years, 6 to 7 years straight.
So Heather, if I can interject here, one of the things that we know is that when he's that famous 1908 trip that he took to London on a banana boat, and he could not run in the Olympics, but he waited after the Olympics and ran with the winners. And there's a story that I think he actually beat the person who had won gold at the Olympics, but
Wow.
in some meet afterwards.
And when he was in England, he missed the Olympics, but apparently there were a lot of other track and field events. So he traveled around England competing in all of these events.
Sort of while I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's awesome. Because
Yeah.
I read something that says the time that he ran to make the qualifying mark for the Olympic Games 1908, he would have made the final of the
Right.
100 yards. He would have made that final.
Yeah.
So now that you're saying he competed against those guys after the Olympic Games and he was able to defeat them, maybe he would have won gold.
Could have, right?
Yeah.
We don't know, but that very impressive.
Yes, very, very impressive. And of course, the Olympic Games, you cannot compete unless your country is a part of the
Right.
IOC, unless special provisions are made, like for like some countries where have people competing as there's a category that they have them in. I cannot refugees.
Uh,
Okay.
Refugees,
Okay.
right, right. So Jamaica did not become a member of the IOC until 1939, and of course, what happened immediately after 1939, or close to there, World War II started, and the games were set back. But Sean Ridgely, hello, Sean. Welcome, welcome, Sean Ridgely. He's saying, love to hear all of this. Great grandkids turning in from all over. What is this now? The Sassos and Beckford, so inspiring. Wow. Those are his great grandchildren.
yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Welcome, guys. Let us welcome the great grandchildren of Mr. G.C. Foster, who they're hanging out with us here tonight. And of course, on set, we have two of his granddaughters, Heather and Debbie. Um, in 1915, Mr. G.C. Foster, your grandfather, retired. He retired from the sport, and of course, he did not get to realize his dream of competing at the Olympic Games. Any story there? How
None.
he felt, how after realizing that he won't be able to compete? Any insight?
I don't have
Uh,
any.
I don't either, but I know he was, well, I have heard he was a type of man that nothing kept him down. He
mhm.
believed that the mind controlled everything. He used to say to the people he was training, if you think you can do it, you can do it. If you think you can't, you won't. So I would imagine that although he was very disappointed, that it was like, I'm not letting anything stop me. I'm going as much as I can.
Yeah, his one of his sayings was a strong mind and a strong body, in a strong body. Um, that's what you should aim for.
That's amazing. A strong, say that again.
A strong mind in a strong body.
Awesome. Awesome. A strong mind in a strong body can achieve just
Great
above
things.
great,
Yeah.
yes, anything you want to achieve. Let us say a welcome to Lilith Hodges. Lilith Hodges, another of Jamaica's Olympian, 1970s and 80s Olympian, Lilith Hodges. She's saying hi, HP and family. And of course, Lilith is hanging out with us from a very far place, Ghana, which
Nice.
is 7 hours ahead, and she's here tonight.
Oh,
No,
thank you.
another one of our track and field gems and Olympian, Lily Hodges, formerly of St. Mary High School in St. Mary. Mr. G.C. Foster, he was special. As grandchildren, just tell me a little bit about how each of you feel knowing that this great man is your grandfather.
I feel very, very proud. I wish I'd known more of him. I wish that he seemed to have inspired so many people, not only in track and field, but just from the person he was. Very outgoing, always with people, very witty. And I wish I'd known him a lot more, but I'm extremely proud to be able to say and to say to my children, this man is my grandfather,
Thank
your
you.
great grandfather.
I tell you a funny story, HB. I lived in Washington and I was getting Sports Illustrated subscription. God to tell why, because I'm really not very athletic. But much to my delight, there was a story, I think it was in 1982 or 1983, about track and field and Jamaica producing such wonderful track and field stars. And my grandfather was all over the article, and I was just beaming. And fast forward several years, I had children, and the boys were maybe about 5 and 7. And I was telling them about the wonders of their great grandfather. And they were kind of like, "You're right. You know how kids are like, sure, mom."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, we're going to the library," because this was long before Google. So
Mm-hmm.
we took a trip to the library, and this wonderful librarian researched the article on him, and they were just blown away. So they were believers after that. And we every time they do something slightly athletic, we're like, it's in the genes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great grandfather.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is just so awesome. Let me read something else that was written by Mr. Arnold Bertram. He said Mr. G.C. Foster returned to Jamaica, but there was hardly any focus on the development of adult track and field athletic competition. So there was back in those days there was no interest
Interesting.
in adult competition with an eye to participate at the Olympic Games. So, despite your grandfather's spectacular achievement, the annual Open Athletics Championship in which he contributed and participated, it was increasingly marginalized. And as the organizers of track and field in Jamaica, they were more focused on. Tell me which event they were most focused on in Jamaica. Boys champs. Boys champs. Can you imagine?
Before Boys Champs.
No,
Boys
they
Champs, right? Yeah,
Yes.
he was a precursor to the
right. So even though he was doing well, he went away, competed, and he did so well, and he came back hoping now that the country would say, okay, let us develop adult competition so we can book a place to the Olympic Games. They were more focused on high school boys champs or high
yeah,
school
what
athletics,
which is a feeder,
which
which
is
is a
a feeder.
feeder in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Right, champs is a feeder, but having an athlete like that, you would think that we would try to balance it because here we have someone who made the qualifying mark for the Olympic Games, and this was like the third Olympic Games of the modern Olympics because the modern
Right.
Olympic Games started 1896 or something like that. And he was qualified the third Olympics into the
Yes.
third. So what happened is that Jamaica's legacy, our legacy would have started from 1908 instead of 1948.
That's true. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing.
Well, we're
But
trying to make it for lost time.
yes, we could have started from 19. We could be going 100 years plus, over 100 years. But of course, their focus was on boys champs at this time, which
Right.
started very, very early. But of course, as you said earlier, your grandfather, he did not allow that to get in his way or to get him down. What he did, he became a coach.
Yes. And every school he coached at one. So
Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about that.
He
He
was
is,
in quite a lot of demand. Yes.
yes, he became a coach when he realized that he could not live his dream to compete at the Olympic Games. He became a coach and started to condition athletes to compete for the country. But before we get to that, let us say welcome to Tony P, who is here. He's saying, hail everyone. That means hello everyone. There's Venice Brown, another athlete, formerly a another very technical girl. She's saying good night, everyone. Welcome, guys. Thank you very much for being here. No, grandfather as a coach. What can you tell me? As a coach.
right. So I mean, what we do know, the stories that we have heard was that
Mhm.
I don't know if his first one was Calabar.
How did he
Anyway,
start?
I don't know how he started, but
Hmm.
I think he was a coach for Calabar, KC, and JC.
Yes,
Anyway,
And
you're
Woodminster.
correct. Mm-hmm.
So, but it is said that anywhere he went, they could expect to win the championship that year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the story we're running with.
Okay, I totally agree, and I like that word we're running with because we're about track and field. But he was a remarkable person. He was a people person because, as I said before, his dreams were shattered. But he went on and he flipped the script and he said, "Okay, I am going to develop athletes," and that he did.
Yes,
And let
since
me
I
just
couldn't do it. Yes.
right. And let me just read something here. It says Mr. G.C. Foster coached several high schools across Jamaica, especially in the corporate area, influencing young athletes in sports, including track and field, cricket, and football. Awesome. He
Oh, I
was
didn't know that. Okay.
also he was basically coaching from downtown come all the way uptown because and I'm going to share that in a little bit the different schools, but all the schools that he coached are all winners at boys champs. They're all boys champs winner. His coaching methods were innovative. He emphasized on three main things: discipline, technique, and holistic athlete development. He was he was amazing. Many athletes who trained by him credit him for setting them on the path to success. That is just amazing. Ladies, when you listen to all of this, what are some of the thoughts that you're having right now about this great man who you call family grandfather?
Well, again, we're just sorry we didn't know more of him. We didn't realize how great he was until he
and
was
we
long gone.
and we were adults,
Yeah.
really.
In fact, I think, I mean, I left, I've been living abroad for the last 45 years, and I learned more about him since then than I did while I was in Jamaica. So,
Debbie?
Yeah, I agree. And there's also a lot of, I mean, what Mr. Bertram was saying, there's a lot more to it in a sense, in that he was, as Heather had mentioned, a great masseuse and used all kind of local herbs and things to massage. But he was also a bit of a hypnotist, they say, because he would say, like, I'm going to count to 5 or I'm going to count to 10 and you will feel better. And he would massage, and at 10 the person was supposed to feel better, and apparently did, but again, the mind controlling the body.
Mm-hmm.
um, he was a strong believer in strong lungs, that you had to breathe in deeply and hold it and breathe out. So there were things like that we've heard of.
He was he was way ahead of his time back then
Yes, he was.
because some of what you're explaining now is some of what coaches are using now, especially when you talk about the mind.
Hmm.
When you talk about the mind, because sports, there's something now, I mean, it's been around, but it is even more common now,
Hmm.
yes.
sports psychology, and athletes will tell us that sport is more mental than physical,
Hmm.
is
If you
what,
think if you think you can do it, you can do it.
yeah, you just have to apply yourself. Jamaica's first international competition was in Havana, Cuba. The team was coached by your grandfather. First national team, and this was back in the 1930s.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, he was the coach of that team. And of course, Jamaica won its first medal in the field in the long jump. No, sorry, in the high jump in the 1930s. Your father is the pioneer And this is why he is classified as the father of track and field, because he coached our first team to our first international competition, and of course where we won our first medal, not on the track but
Just,
in the field.
Right.
In the field. This is just awesome. He was back at it again 1938, this
that's
time with a bigger team.
okay.
Uh Vonnie M is saying, who is Evan Saunders, Olympian, she's saying, Heather, you look just like your grandfather.
I
Ah,
do.
Heather, you look like grandpa.
I haven't heard that one, but must be. I heard I look like my father, so
And your father looks like,
must have. I never thought so before, but
yes,
maybe.
ma'am. Well, you're hearing it tonight that you look like your grandfather. So grandfather, Mr. G.C. Foster, he was back at it again, and the team to the 1938 CAC Games was include a certain gentleman was on this team, and his name is Arthur Wynn. Did you know that your
Yes.
grandfather coached Arthur Wynn?
Yes,
Yes.
we knew that.
He was very proud of that.
Yes,
Tell me a little bit. Whatever you guys know about that, just share it with them.
that's probably all we know. That he was.
Whatever, little bit. But yes, I did not know this until I started doing my research. So, your grandfather, he coached a 1938 team to the CAC Games, and Arthur Wynn, who was 18 at the time, was also included on that team. And of course, your grandfather continued to coach Mr. Arthur Wynn, who became Dr. Arthur Wynn after he left Calabar in 1937. Under G.C. Foster's guidance, Arthur Wynn's sprinting technique improved drastically and made a vast difference to middle and long distance.
Okay.
I remember Heather was actually saying earlier today, and I looked it up, that he had, like how
Technique.
Jamaicans start a race. He was very into that. That there was a certain form you had to have
Like
as you
one
start.
foot behind the other, quick start, and they say that he's still
That is
that
still
is still
being
being
used.
used today.
And like your hands were pumping and it had to reach a certain spot. And
Yes, indeed. Because when you look at I'm not sure if you ladies follow track and field now, but what you're describing that he did back then is what we're doing now.
Yes.
That's exactly how the blocks are set up, especially for the sprints. One foot behind the
Yes.
other.
when you think of like Shelley Ann Fraser, how she just explodes out of the blocks, you know.
Mhm,
That's-
mhm. Amazing. But before we go any further, okay, so Vivian Morana, who is another Olympian for Jamaica, formerly of Veer Technical. Veer Technical turned out tonight.
Really?
Yes,
Awesome.
she's also here, another Olympian, 1980s Olympian. She is also here. And Dorothy Scott Jr., she's agreeing with Vonnie M., who is Evan Saunders, that you look like Grandpa. So these ladies, they're agreeing that Heather resembles Grandpa. Distance running.
Find some more pictures of him.
Yes, you have to. Distance running is saying Blessed Night. Of course, she is a track and field coach at Camperdown. She was at Calabar before. Now she's at Camperdown doing her thing and mentoring young athletes and getting ready for another staging of champs. So they are here tonight. They are here tonight to hear about grandfather. And of course, we have this story, the big one, the Olympic Games. The Olympic Games, the birth and the rivalry of Jamaicans and Jamaica versus the US in sprinting or track and field, not just sprinting, track and field. The birth of the rivalry between Jamaicans and the United States. Leading up to the 1948 games, Mr. Herb McKinley was on fire. He was unstoppable and he was undefeated, where he even set a new record in the 400 meters. He won against everybody except Arthur Wynne. He he defeated everybody except Arthur Wynne. They did not competed against each other until the 1948 Olympic Games in
And then it came first
London.
and second, right?
In London. Can you, any of you ladies, tell me what happened in London?
Didn't they come first and second?
Yes, they did.
And wasn't Herb McKinley ahead, and then Arthur Lynn
yes, took the lead at the end.
Yes, indeed. That was a proud moment for Jamaica. And guess who was there to witness it? Your grandfather.
Yeah.
He coached Arthur Wynne. And I'm going to share something as we go down. He coached Arthur Wynne after he left Calabar. So Arthur Wynne did not leave to go away on a scholarship. He was coaching him while he was in Jamaica, and Jamaica won a Quinella 1 and 2 in our first Olympic game. Mr. G.C. Foster produced an Olympic champion. Awesome. Ladies, I don't want to be the only one over here having goose pimples.
I am getting them too. I say, we say we're not easy,
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Jamaica, one Jamaica. It is just amazing, and I like to tell these stories because fans need to understand that this did not just start in 2008 in Beijing.
Right.
This started from 1908 with that gentleman.
Yeah.
With that gentleman on the screen, Mr. G.C. Foster. Hence, why he is known as the father of Jamaica track and field. Let us just look at some comments before we go any further. Okay, distance running is saying Herb lost. Yes, he did. And I'm going to tell you a little story about that when I'm finished reading here. Tony is saying HP chat, keep the legacy alive. Thank you very much, sir. I'm trying. Distance running is saying, I agree, she's doing a great job. Thank you guys for the love. Distance running is also saying GC set the stage, and as a coach, I'm extremely grateful. Awesome. Awesome. She is a coach today and she's thanking your grandfather for setting that stage. And to go back to that race where Herb lost, Herb came into that race as the favorite. He defeated everybody except for Arthur Wynne. But when I interviewed Arthur Wynne's daughter, they told me on this platform that Arthur Wynne wanted Herb to win because Herb was the favorite and, of course, his teammate. That was selfless. But when Arthur Wynne realized that the American was coming, he said, not today. He said, that was what Mr. Wynne's daughters told us on the program. Arthur Wynne saw that Herb was going to maybe lose to the Americans, and he said, no, I have to step it up. And that was when he stepped it up and he won Jamaica first gold medal at our first Olympic Games.
So I remember my father saying that Herb McKinley was extremely confident, and Arthur Wynne was not.
And Grandpa boosted his confidence.
Yes, and said, you can do
this.
If you think you can do it.
And so it was like in his head, don't think you're slated to be second. You can do this.
Awesome. And this is what coaches, this is how we need our coaches to be. We need our coaches to be able not just to condition the physical, but also condition the mind.
Yes.
condition the mind of our athletes. And of course, Arthur went out there with those lanky legs and won that gold medal. And of course, your grandfather was his coach. So that was a big deal. When I saw that in my research, I'm like, this is just awesome. Awesome, awesome stuff. Okay, so now if you're just joining us, guys, we're reminiscing about Mr. G.C. Foster. That's what we're doing. We're having a discussion and we are reminiscing about this great man. So if you're just joining us, thank you for joining us. Remember to subscribe, like, and share, the formalities and stuff. And thank you for all for tuning in. And of course, I want to say again, thank you to Herb McKinley's son and daughter, and also the daughters of Mr. Arthur Wint, who made tonight possible by finding a great granddaughter who found the granddaughter. So thank you guys again for being here. Now, your her just a little bit about her. Herb McKinley was actually being coached overseas because he had gotten a scholarship and
Right.
he went abroad to study. And Arthur was being coached in Jamaica. But your grandfather, especially because he said that he was always confident. This was what he said. This was what Mr. Bertram wrote. G.C. Foster was always confident in his abilities to coach a Jamaican athlete on home soil to be competitive against the rest of
International.
the world.
Yes.
Now that gives me goosebumps.
Definitely.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm
Yeah.
feeling chilly. I swear I'm feeling chilly. He was that confident that he could coach someone at home and they could become a world beater. And he did not miss on that.
Right.
And we've continued to produce right here in Jamaica.
Thank you very much. He set the stage for that. Look what we are doing now at home. Most of our medalists
By the
are
locals.
being trained right in our backyard at home.
Right.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I thought that this started with Glenn Mills and then Steve Francis.
Ah,
Now to read that it was actually Mr. G.C. Foster who was adamant that he's going to coach a world beater at home. And he did that. He did just that. So he set the stage for people like Glenn Mills and Steve Francis and all the coaches that we know. Our athletes don't even want to go overseas anymore.
That's
right.
good. And I love that they, even if they go overseas, they're running for Jamaica a lot of the time. Thank God.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed, 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 indeed. Let us just quickly look at some of his achievements. Before we do that, Vonnie M is saying he was a motivator before it became popular.
Yeah,
Yes.
Impressive,
that's true.
impressive, impressive. Distance running is saying that's why Francis is so revered because he's doing it here. Yes. When you can dance at home, there's nothing like dancing abroad.
Mhm.
Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff, awesome stuff. All right, just to look, this is the part that I like to look at their achievements, just to break it down. Um, your dad was the first Jamaican athlete to earn an Olympic standard. That is just amazing. History right there. He was a renowned track and field athlete and coach. He dominated the 100 yards for many, many years on local soil. He coached and discovered Olympic champion. We're talking about Dr. Arthur Wint, the late Dr. Arthur Wint. He discovered Cynthia Thompson, which we're going to talk about a little bit more. Dr. Cynthia Thompson, he discovered her, and I'm going to tell you guys how he discovered her. He also discovered Kathleen Russell. Dr. Cynthia Thompson or Dr. Arthur Wint is formerly of Calabar and Excelsior. Dr. Cynthia Thompson, formerly of St. Hugh's. Kathleen Russell, formerly of Kingston Technical High School, and Hyacinth Walters, Kingston Technical High School. And these are all Olympians for Jamaica. Brilliant, outstanding, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Research shows that he coached some of the top high schools in track and field in Jamaica. Wolmer's Boys, his alma mater, Jamaica College, St. George's College, Kingston College, Calabar.
Yeah.
Amazing.
He
These
was
are
in
all,
high demand.
he was doing something good. If he was in such high demand, he was doing something that was working. He was doing something that was working. Distance running, he's saying he did all this when the resources were minimal.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
That
that
is
distance
so,
running.
so true. Nobody had money to put into that. I mean, he was selfless. Yeah, I think he was paid very little, but
Yes.
he was just so passionate,
Passion, passionate. It is amazing, and thank you very much, distance running, for pointing that out. He did it without resources.
And apparently, he had a medicine board at home and used to encourage the boys to come and do sit ups on it, and then told them to go home and get a board and make their own medicine board so they could continue doing their sit ups and strengthening their abs.
Amazing, amazing. How does your family celebrate this great man? How do you guys celebrate him?
We probably don't celebrate him as much as we should. Um,
I
yeah.
think as a country, I think as a country, we have not celebrated him enough. And I think that enough information is not out there on him. So people will just hear the school, G.C.FOSTER, and they heard that it was named after this person. But what he has done, it to me, it is not highlighted enough.
Well, the fact that the school was named after him made us very happy too, though.
Right,
That
indeed.
was a first step in recognizing him.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. I am always amazed. I encounter people like just in fact people who come up to study in the US who need part-time jobs and they say they went to GC Foster's and I'm like, oh, did you know that was my grandfather? And then they're like, really, we have no idea who he is, and I have to sort of tell them the little I know.
But the college is also now producing some stars, right?
Yes, indeed, indeed. We need to, and this is something I've always called for. We need to, you know what we need in Jamaica? And I've said it so many times on this program. We need a museum in Jamaica. We need a sports museum
That
in
is so
Jamaica.
true. Yeah, that is so true.
We need information like this. Schools should be going to our sports museum as a field trip to go and read up on these people, articles or whatever, to read up on this, because it was not until I was doing the research I realized that he was very instrumental in some of our Olympians,
Right.
Olympic champions. Wow, amazing. Before we go any further, distance running is saying what I think though is that when you go over the school, there should be a gallery displaying him and his achievements. He is the great grandfather of track and field. See here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree. There should be a gallery with all of this information on and more what he has done. A lot of people don't even realize that this man he started our track and field legacy.
But I
He
think there is some movement towards highlighting him a bit more because there was a short 30-minute film done on, I think it was called Finding Foster.
Yeah.
And it highlights the story of him going to the UK for the 1908 Olympics, not being able to run, and then him running with all these other people competing against them. And so there is a movement towards knowing more about him and highlighting him, and that makes us very happy.
Awesome, awesome. I'm happy to hear that, because we cannot have these great people and they're nobody knows
Buried.
anything. Yeah, yeah, they're buried. They're just forgotten.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
it's a long time ago.
But the
you
fact that
get it.
he's still being so talked of is really good to
Yes,
him. He
yes,
died in 1966.
yeah,
He was born in what, 1865 or something like that. So
yes. Yeah. Yeah, it is a long time ago, but history is something that you have to me, and this is to me, history should be there for every generation to
yes, agreed, agreed.
have an idea where we are coming from,
Yes,
where our sport is coming from. Our sport is coming from an era where we had Olympic qualifier and they could not compete. He went, but he could not compete because we were not yet a part of the institution that allows you to compete. That alone is a story within himself. I cannot imagine his state of mind when he realized that all these people are competing and he had to sit on the sideline and watch. It he is, and the fact that he came back and give back the way he did. But just to touch on G.C. Foster College a little bit, the birth of a physical education university, the G.C. Foster Physical Education and Sport University, that was named in honor of grandfather. What does this mean to your family?
It means a lot.
it was huge. I mean, yeah, I remember I'm not sure who it was. I guess it was Minister of Sports or something at the time coming to visit our home to tell my father that it was decided to name the school after him. And I mean, I was certainly blown away. I was like, what? My grandfather. Yeah.
Awesome. And this was the birth of G.C. Foster was 1980.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
The school.
1980. If grandfather was here today, if Mr. G.C. Foster was here today, what do you think it would mean to him to have such a prestigious institution carrying on his name, his legacy, the work that he has done, his contribution to the development of our track and field?
I think that I think he would be blown away. He'd be so proud. But I think too that the college suffers from a lack of funding a lot of the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it would be important to him to try and get that funding so that the athletes could achieve their potential.
Yeah. Indeed, indeed. I'm just replaying everything, and he's not my grandfather, and I feel proud. I feel proud that this man was so selfless in giving of himself. And here we are today, number two in the world in track and field. And we could be number one if we had just carry on the middle and the long distance that he put in place. Because of course Mr. Arthur Wayne won a silver medal in the 800 meters at the 1948 Olympic Games. He came back 4 years, 1952, and won a silver medal again in the 800 meters. Those are the only two medals that we won in the middle or long distance, and it was because of your grandfather. Again, history.
Mhm.
Amazing. Amazing. I think we need to talk about this a little bit more so that we can encourage the younger generation that we won medals in the 800 meter at back to back. Olympic Games through Mr. G.C. Foster being the head coach of that athlete. Um, Before we go any further, distance running is saying finding information on our past athletes or the person involved is hard. You remember that discussion we were having before we went live?
Yes, yes.
She's now
And
saying,
and a lot, and not only that, but a lot of the information out there is incorrect.
and some of it is incorrect too. I agree. I agree. I think the problem is that as a country, we depend on other people to capture our legacy. We are not doing it enough ourselves. So other people will write an article and they don't have everything, but they just put something
They
together.
Yeah.
run with it, yeah.
Our people, we need to be writing our stories. We need to be telling our stories and not depend on the rest of the world to write an article. Distance running is saying history is a guide. I totally agree. She said the sports need visionaries to help grow, lacking in funds when there's so many companies who look to capitalize off the athlete's brand during the World Championships and the Olympic Games is heartbreaking, and that is true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That is true. A lot of companies are capitalizing and they're not giving back. They're not helping with the development of our athletes. Another comment from Vivienne Spence Morana. She said, I had no clue who GC Foster was until tonight.
Wow. Yeah,
Look at that.
yeah.
I actually thought about going to GC Foster before accepting a scholarship to go to the United States. And she is a 1980s Olympian and she's now learning. So you see what I'm trying to say?
Right, 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 right. So you're doing a good thing.
Thank you.
But
Thank you so
let me
much.
just tell you, our computer here is saying it's running low. So
It's running low. Oh my God. So we have to wrap up. Okay.
yes,
Okay. It's running low. It's not plugged in. It's not. Marlene Green, good night. Good night, everyone. We're here talking about G.C. Foster. We're actually coming to the end now. But let me just read something more about G.C. Foster. The impact of his legacy. G.C. Foster's contribution to sports in Jamaica earned him the reputation of the father of Jamaica athletics. He dedicated his life to monitoring athletes, fostering a love for sport that remains integral in Jamaica, in the Jamaican culture. And that is so true. Today, the G.C. Foster College of Education and Sport, Physical Education and Sports, established in 1980, stands as a testament to his lasting influence. The college serves as Jamaica's premier institution for training coaches, athletes, and sport professionals. Just amazing, just amazing, just amazing, ladies. But we're wrapping up now, so we're going to play a quick game before your computer dies. You're
okay.
going to tell me something about grandfather, and then I am going to tell you something about grandfather, because my grandfather now. So tell me anything, and I will tell you something. Shoot, go ahead.
Mm.
He
Any
was Roman Catholic
well,
and he used to live beside the Holy Cross Church in Halfway Tree. And
okay,
he used to go across in the afternoons and play chess with the priests.
okay. So that's something I did not
And
know.
there was a big guinea tree that I remember
Yes.
with double guineas. Remember that?
Yes.
It was
We used
so sweet.
Amazing. So what I'm going to tell you about grandfather now is that G.C. Foster was born November 30th, 1885. You go now, next.
Okay, so more on where he used to live beside Holy Cross.
Mhm.
Actually, he gave a lot of the land he owned to the church and school. He converted to Catholicism at some later. Wasn't born Catholic, or he wasn't
Okay.
born it, but became quite a big church goer and used to take up collections and stuff like that.
He was an usher.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, Jamaica's medal winning streak started with G.C. Foster at the helm of the Jamaica track and field coaching in the 1930s and the 1940s.
Nice.
Okay.
Your
We're
turn. Your
supposed
turn
to,
again.
we're supposed to come up with something else.
Yes.
Hmm.
I think that's it.
Your computer is going to die soon because we're just wrapping up now. We're just doing
Yeah.
random
Right.
information until yeah. So what's the next thing that you can tell me about grandfather?
Hmm.
Okay. So he had two sons and three daughters.
Okay,
My
good.
father was the eldest.
Okay, good. My next thing about grandfather is that Jamaica won gold in the middle and long distance. Um, and they were coached by your grandfather. Jamaica won gold in the 1500 meters and the 5000 meters, and they were coached by your grandfather.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
that's new to me. Thank you for that.
Thanks to Mr. Bertram for that. It is just amazing what he was doing. And if we had continued with our middle and long distance program, maybe today we would be number one in track and field. But we're number two because we are not in the middle and the long distances like America. The only country that is ahead of us in track and field
And look
is
at the size of them compared to us.
over 300 million compared to less than 3 million. Amazing what we're doing. Amazing. Amazing what our grandfather has started. What else can you tell me about grandfather?
Hmm.
Hmm.
While you're thinking of something, let us just read some more comments. Marlene Green is saying good evening, and she's saying she's late, but I'm sure she will watch it again. Marlene Green, formerly of Dintil. Vivian Morana is saying, keep up the good work, HP. God bless you. Thank you very much for that. Distance running is saying not just Jamaica, but the Caribbean. Let me
Yes,
say, distance running is on point tonight. Exactly. Number one in the Caribbean.
that's true.
Number one in the Caribbean. Vivian is saying, can they plug in the computer?
Well,
I love it.
I tried to, but the plug, it can't.
Oh, the
It's
plug
a
is
two
far.
prong and it's a two prong.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine because we were wrapping up. But I love that, Vivian. My audience, they want to know. And Bonnie M is saying, "What an amazing man! Indeed, he was." And Distant Running is saying, "Grandfather was Sagittarius." Yes, he was. He was November
Third
30th. And
day.
Tony P is saying twinning. Okay, so what next are you going to tell me about grandfather? So I can tell you my next thing
Okay,
before you
you
come.
go.
All right, I'll go. Mr. G.C. Foster started the trend of coaching world beaters at home. He started that trend. He prepared Jamaica for the world, and I think he had a vision, not just a mission, but he had a vision because a mission is what you do to get to your vision, and
That's
I think he had a vision, and if he was here today, he would have been proud, very proud. All right, what next do you have? Because I have something else.
You
You
go.
go.
I love it. I love it. I will go. Okay, Dr. Cynthia Thompson, Jamaican Olympian, formerly of St. Hugh's High School. She was a rising star at while she was at St. Hugh's. And guess who discovered her? Your
Peter.
grand your grandfather.
Oh,
Your grandfather discovered Cynthia Thompson, and by 1948, she was on the team to the Olympic Games.
good. Nice.
Awesome, awesome, awesome,
You
awesome.
know, it's funny because we always hear about the men that he coached. So
Mhm.
it's good to
Yeah.
realize that there were women involved too.
Yes, there were women. He discovered a lot of athletes, both men and women. You guys have anything else? Because I have something else.
No, we don't have anything else.
No, I can't think
All
of
right,
it.
let me just share this with you guys. This is some more information for you guys. In 1941, Jamaica's Olympic program was now broadened with the holding of the first championship for high school girls.
Ah, 51.
Before, yes,
Before it was just boys. Mm.
before it was just the boys, but in 1941 they kind of started something for the girls, which officially started in 1957. Now listen to this. G.C. Foster made sure that the talents discovered at the girls' championships were recruited to the national program.
Wonderful.
Well, that's
This was the birth of our women in athletics.
right.
I'm getting chills.
Lovely.
Yeah.
This is just awesome. This
Yeah.
is awesome.
So he was an equal opportunity man.
Yes, yes.
Ahead of
He,
his days, ahead of
yes,
his time,
yeah,
in
he
so
was.
many ways.
Yeah. He made sure that those women were recruited to the national program. And look at it today. Even though it started with our men, who are now leading the way?
Yeah.
The women.
Yeah.
The women are leading. G.C. Foster, when he wanted to do that, he received invaluable assistance from one Jocelyn Monroe, the coach at Kingston Technical High School, which produced the likes of Kathleen Russell, who is a 1948 and 1952 Olympian, and Hyacinth Walters, who is a 1952 Olympian. This was also the school that produced George Roden.
Ah,
Yes.
George Roden, 1948 and 1952 Olympian. Which one of you ladies can tell me what happened at the 1952 Olympic Games between George Roden and Herb McKinley in the 400 again?
I
Well,
don't.
let, well, let me tell you, 1952 Olympic Games, the men 400, it was a replica of what happened 1948.
Oh no. So
Yes,
Roden won.
George Roden won, and Herb again was the silver medalist. So 4 years later, Jamaica went back to the Olympic Games and won a quinella, this time with George Roden and Herb McKinley, and Arthur Wint taking the silver again in the 800 meters. Isn't that wonderful?
That's
Yes.
awesome.
This legacy that we have, it didn't just start in 1948. It didn't just start in 2008 in Beijing with the rise of Usain Bolt. This has started way back from 1908. Technical schools at the time were not allowed to enter the games, but of course they got into champs afterwards. So your grandfather's remarkable career helped the foundation of the country's dominance. And ladies, you are proud, but I need you to be a little prouder because Mr. Gerald Claude Eugene Foster, he was and is a big thing, and we salute him tonight.
Thank you, Heather, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for doing this.
Yes. Thank you for bigging him up. He
He's one
deserves
of
it.
us. He's
Yeah.
one of us. He's one of us. And he has done some great work. And now, when I look at where we are and look at the legacy, it's because of this man who did not get to live his dream.
Right. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And
Let's hope he's watching tonight.
yes, he's right there. Look at him. He's smiling at us. He's like, go HP, tell them HP. But ladies, I want to thank you very much for being here. A special thank you to your family, the Foster family. I want to say also thank you to Herb McKinley's family who made the link, and also to the Arthur Wint family. Those two families, big supporters of this program. And I want to thank everybody, and I want to thank Bonnie M, who also made the link. Thank you very much. And ladies, before you go and leave me, I'm just going to give you both a minute, 30 seconds to a minute to just add whatever you want to add to the end or say your closing.
Well, first of all, I want to say a big thank you to what you have done tonight. You have educated us a lot, and your viewers, who have been great. I mean, are so supportive, and it's so nice to hear what they know and what they're thinking.
Thank you.
Um, I wish you everything good, Heather. This has been a great program.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm really happy that we had Olympians joining us because they're great successes in their own right, and
Mhm.
for them to be interested in learning about grandpa is very special as well. And
Thank
thank you for making this doable. As you know, I was sort of freaking out, but I felt that somebody needed to speak about grandpa, and if we were the best you had, well, we do our best.
you did, and you made the discussion very interesting, and you've added whatever we did not know. You've just added additional knowledge to the
Well,
little bit that,
a different dimension, perhaps.
and that's fine, and that's fine. Teamwork, teamwork.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
it
But
was
thank you.
teamwork. You're welcome. You're welcome. It was teamwork tonight, and I really, really appreciate you ladies coming on to do this and just to reminisce about this great man who has done so much for us, our sport. That today Jamaica is one of the most feared country in track and field. Everybody wants to beat us. Everybody wants to beat the Jamaicans. So thanks to Grandpa, who was an architect of talent. He had an eye for talent and he was able to condition them. And tonight we are happy that Mr. G.C. Foster is a Jamaican. So thank you very much, ladies,
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Okay.
Have
Thank
a
you.
good night.
You too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, guys, it was a pleasure. I enjoyed this, and of course, my knowledge has now broaden a little bit more about our legacy. That our legacy did not just started in 1948. Our legacy started from 1908, and I'm one of those people. I just want to know about our pioneers, our visionaries, the people who have done it, the contributors, everyone. And after tonight, I look at our legacy in a different light because Mr. G.C. Foster, this name that I've been hearing all my life, has now more information has now come to us that he was the father, the grandfather, great grandfather of this sport. And the part I like most, or one of the parts that I like so much, is that he discovered our women. He brought our women into the sport. He recruited our women and said they need to be a part of the national team that was only men, and that is wonderful. Granted, we women, we always get into things after the men, but what do we do when we get in? We dominate, and we're seeing it now where our women are dominating. When you look at the medal table, which I'm going to do another time, the men started out winning medal before the women, but when you look at the women are now leading the medal table for Jamaica, it is amazing. And of course, Mr. G.C. Foster, he has done a great job. He discovered a lot and he left a legacy behind that we can now call ours. And we have to mention his name every time that we talk about track and field. We have to talk about this man because if he did not start this, I'm not sure where we would be now in the sport. And it was because of him why we are here today. And I just love it. And of course, his granddaughters taking the time out to come and hang out and talk and laugh. it's just so refreshing. It's just so refreshing. Not because they're not here anymore, it doesn't mean that we're not going to talk about them. We're going to talk about them. So thank you all for being here. Let me see some more comments. Marlene, okay, Vivian is saying, all right, let's go back a little. Tabs is saying GC has left such a legacy for his grand and great grandchildren. Even now, our families represent in various sports. Thank you very much for saying that, Tabs. Vivian is saying it is so fascinating. It is a fascinating interview. I don't want it to end. Thank you very much, Vivian. I know, but they had to go. Thank you. Marlene Green is saying G.C.FOSTER won the intercollegiate knockout in football today. Whoop whoop! Go G.C.FOSTER. Tabs is saying our family have footballers and surfers representing his legacy internationally. That is amazing, 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 amazing. His legacy is just, it continues in surfing and that football. That's just amazing. Marlene Green is saying, thanks to Mr. G.C.FOSTER making sure women were recruited into athletics program. Yes, he ensured that the talents that were discovered at Champs back in those days were recruited for the national program. And this is why today we can see our women competing in sport, because of course back then women weren't allowed or weren't competing in sports. Vonnie M is saying 1952 4x400 meter relay goal also. Yes, that is true. Marlene Green is saying enough respect to Mr. GC. Enough respect, Mr. GC. Tabs is saying always so proud to say he is my great grandfather. Thank you, HP. This has been great. Thank you very much for that, Tabs. Thank you very much. Your great grandfather, he is the reason why I am here today. I can be here today to talk about our legacy like this. Distance running is saying we appreciate his legacy. Indeed we do. And Vonnie M, 1972 and 1976 Olympian, is saying thank you so much, Heather, Debbie, and big up yourself, HP. Thank you guys very much for being here. Of course, next week we will be here to do it all over again when we will hear more about our legacy. Of course, we will be talking to someone who is a part of the legacy. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I see you all next week, everybody who turned out, all the athletes, all the Olympians, everybody who turned out, the families of Mr. Herb McKinley, Mr. Arthur Wins, and G.C.FOSTER. Thank you very much for tonight. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a great week. And remember, guys, let us remember all the families who lost a loved one in the that accident, air accident with that plane, the planes that went down, where I think most, if not all the passengers or all the lives were lost. Let us remember them in our thoughts. You know, a sad day, so many people. Yeah. So let us just remember everyone as we go through the rest of the night and tomorrow and the other day. So many families are mourning right now. It's a sad day. But thank you everyone for being here. Have a great evening. Enjoy your weekend, and I will catch up with you next week again when we will do it all over again. I'm your girl HP. Please remember, I don't say this a lot because I don't remember most times, but please remember to subscribe, to like, to share, leave a comment, leave your thoughts, and you have a good one. I appreciate you. Have a good night.
Jamaica's track and field legacy is unmatched. It is a story of triumph, resilience, and extraordinary talent. But do you know the stories behind the athletes who brought us glory? Hi, I'm HP, founder of HP Chat Track. My mission is simple, to celebrate the rich legacy of Jamaica track and field and shine a light on the incredible people who make it happen. Winning that race was a dream come true, but the journey wasn't easy. It's not just about medals, it's about inspiring the next generation. Jamaica track and field isn't just a sport, it's our pride, our culture, our heart. Every week I sit down with athletes, coaches and fans to bring you stories of dedication, passion and legacy. Plus, we've got exciting news and exclusive insights into the world of track and field. Make your Thursday night be at HP's place. Come hang out with us at HP Chat Track Studio, where track and field is our business. Jamaica. One people, one legacy.